We're here for our sunset safari at the Wilds, looking out from the overlook out across the fields and across the parking lot.
Oh, I see. There's a rhino there. And
Do
a baby.
You see a rhino someplace, do you?
Yeah. Oh, I've seen it from... See that bus? And out
We talking
from
two
that
buses
bus, there's a rhino and a baby.
down here by the pond? We're straight down here by the pond?
No, it's out straight out
on the hill out there.
out on the hill. See the bus that's stopped by the trees over there?
No,
Up there on top of the hill that's starting to move?
There's
Okay.
a rhino over there, the baby.
To the left or the right of the bus?
Out this way.
Well,
Is that left or right?
Yeah.
Left of the
See
bus.
where he's at now. I just seen him walking with the baby. Where the heck did he go? See if just
I see the bus.
had one with a baby walking along there.
You got your old camera?
There he is. Okay. See where the bus is going
Did that a while
to
back.
heading to the
Yeah,
left?
heading to the left, uh-huh.
Straight out from the bus. There's the rhino and the baby.
Whatever happened to your Nikon binoculars, you know?
Down there at the house.
I don't know if I'm seeing it or not. I can't tell. There's so much glare on me right now. Is it still right in front of the bus area? Where are we talking about, Mom? To the left of the bus?
Wait a minute, let me look here. Okay, see this bush right out in front of us here?
Oh,
Right
God.
to the right of that bush, straight out there on the hill where the bus was running. It's right out there, that spot out there.
I can't believe your eyesight. I got my zoom lens out and I can't see where you're... I don't have any idea what you're looking at.
Here, use this.
No, Mom, just...
Okay, right straight out. See the
Oh,
road there
I'm gonna
from
shut
that
this
bush?
off. I don't.
Ravine that goes up through.
Yeah,
Okay,
where the
now I
road
see
is,
her.
There's the rhinos.
Yep, I see her.
What's
I don't
it?
need to look at them. I see what you're talking about.
There's a baby with it too.
Yep, it doesn't want to focus on him very well at this distance, but I can just see him.
Yeah, there's just a little baby walking around with him too.
Oh.
Yeah, you probably zoomed in enough that you just picked
I'm as zoomed in as I can zoom in. But yep, sure enough, there's her horn. It's got its head up looking
And
at...
the baby's right there beside
Yep, right
it.
by it. I'll be darned. Yep, sure enough. Well, we'll get a closer glimpse of them hopefully later.
It's looking around now. Look at it.
They're probably like our raccoons. They wait for the dinner time at night. They know they get fed in the evening maybe. Who knows?
You want to see it, Greg?
I can see it.
You want to see it?
Couldn't see it at first from here. Pretty,
I was just looking there and I thought...
pretty
"Ooh,
pond. Yeah. Good eye, Mom. Can't believe that. That's the
I have
price. That's the
binoculars.
trade-off you have for your wearing reading glasses, I guess.
Yeah, I have my binoculars. And I was looking
You have your binocular eyes.
I was looking through the binoculars.
Can't read the phone book, but by golly, you can pick a rhino out at that distance. There's Greg. Hello, Greg. We're gonna see our little dinner crowd tonight here. Back up a little bit. There's Mr. Phil, here to see the show for this evening. And there's binocular eyes right there. Put them down and say hello, Mom.
Hello.
Yes, indeedy.
And when they were done, they donated all of this to us to use as a wildlife conservation or research area. They gave us almost 10,000 acres total, so that does make us the largest working conservation area in the Northern Hemisphere. Now, where we're driving through now is what's called a sally port. If you ever saw Jurassic Park, it's the same kind of thing. What this does for us, though, it creates a space between our two fence lines. Our outer fence line is not electrified, and that keeps the native animals out, and the inner fence line is electrified, and that keeps our animals in. Now, we have to be particularly careful with the white-tailed deer because they carry something called the vagilial worm. The vagilial worm doesn't affect the white-tailed deer, it doesn't affect their meat in any way, but for some of our animals it's deadly. It gets into their central nervous system, eventually into their spinal column, and it can kill them. So we need to be very, very cautious with the whitetail. Now, as we drive along, if you all notice an animal that I miss, please make sure to point it out to me so we can stop and get a good look at it. and y'all are welcome to move around so you can get a good look while we're stopped. I just have one favor to ask. Do y'all know what Canada geese look like? Yeah. They don't count. Yeah. Actually, I always called them Canadian geese, and I have a friend from Canada who made it very plain that they don't want them either. There was a guy named Canada who discovered them, and that's how they got the name. They are not Canadians. She was very emphatic about that. Now, one of the things, though, that makes us different from a traditional zoo is that we do have all this land, and it's damaged land. So we're in the unique situation where we're able to take take this land and really learn about restoring it, bringing it back to a healthy condition. Now, over the hill there, you can see some of our Père David deer. I'm going to stop here.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Yes.
You can see our male is kind of laying up by himself there, and there's some babies. And again, if you guys need to take pictures or want to get up to get a better look, you're welcome to. The Père David deer have a kind of an interesting history. They were thought to be extinct. And in 1865, there was a missionary to China. His name was Father Armand David, which is where they get their name. And he discovered a little herd of these in the Emperor of China's private hunting ground. Now, he recognized them as something that he'd never seen before and got permission to bring back some to Europe. Right after that, there was a great famine, a great flood, and then the Boxer Rebellion broke out. So all the Père David deer left in China all perished during that time. So what was left is just this little herd in Europe. By 1920, it had dropped down to only 18 animals. So, now obviously one of the things you have to be very, very careful of when you have these little tiny groups is that the wrong people, the wrong animal doesn't meet the wrong animal. We have to be very, very careful when we breed them. All our animals are part of what's called a species survival plan. It's kind of internet dating for animals. We put a little microchip behind their ear. And if you've ever worked with animals, you know what a stud book
Sorry,
is.
I didn't mean to crouch you.
It's sort of a family tree for animals. What we can do is we can scan that, put that out there. We send that to all the things not working for you.
How many deer do you have?
Got a zebra coming towards us down the street.
Buffalo.
Right now, I think we
Yeah, I
probably
know.
have maybe in the 30s. We've had quite a few new births this year, so I'm not real sure where we are.
So we have more than what they
See the
had.
bison.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Worldwide, there's probably about 900 of them. Yeah.
Hard seeing through this
Well, this is
viewfinder
the first
thing.
time we've seen the zebras even close up for about 2 weeks now. They've been hiding in the shade. We're going to be making a big loop here, and the animal management folks will be coming out with treats,
Oh, the
so we
calf,
should be
look at
able
the
to see them
calf.
closer when we pull over here. Can you guys hear me okay in the back? Okay. Now these are our American bison. Yeah, there's some of our babies. And I'm just going to stay here and let the zebras come to us.
Oh, they're going to come.
Yeah, it looks like they might come right up to us. Yeah. Well, usually they know. I'm not the pickup truck. I never bring anything. But these zebras are very special, guys. These are the Greve zebras. And they are the largest of what's left of zebras. They are so endangered right now that they could go extinct within the next 50 years. Now they're rather unique. See how their stripes go all the way up into their manes? They come all the way down like stockings on their legs. I love the ears. Aren't those the most gorgeous ears you've ever seen? They were overhunted for their hide. During the 60s and 70s, they made jackets and rugs, and they were quite literally victims of fashion, and they were overhunted.
Wow.
Ours have really settled down.
Those
We've only had them
gorgeous.
a little over a year, and we believe the mares may all be in foal already, so that's really good news. Now, in the wild, they generally do not stay close together. These zebras don't herd the way most equides do. Probably they're staying together like this because that's all they are, and it's a fairly small area for them. But normally you would not see them stay in a group like this. Now the bison, these are American bison. At one time there was estimated to be 30 million of these in the United States, and in one generation we
Oh, the
hunted them down
camels
to
coming
near
down towards us
extinction.
too.
Now these are actually domestic bison. They were bred for meat production, so they are a little bit bigger, a little bit heavier than the wild bison. What domestic means is that we took animals and bred them to have specific characteristics. So we took the fattest one and bred it with the fattest one, and then maybe we bred it with one that was a little more docile, until you get an animal that's a little different. We hunted bison because they were absolutely essential to the lives of the Native American people. Our government wanted the Native peoples to move on to the reservation system, and they knew that they would not do that willingly if there were all these bison out there to live off of. So the decision was made to systematically slaughter the bison to force the Native peoples onto the reservation system. Out of that 30 million bison, there's only one wild herd left, and that's in Yellowstone National Park.
You see the camels coming down the road towards us, Greg? We got camels coming.
Too. Now we're going to be coming out this road, so what they'll do when we come back around that way, they're going to be leaving treats for them, so they'll probably be under their little shelter when we come through.
Why are they so crazy with the tails?
It's just keeping the flies and things off.
Is that what?
Yeah, they roll a lot to keep cool, but then what happens is they get grain and feces and things on themselves.
Oh, look, they're running for the truck.
See, what did I tell you? They see the truck, off they go. Yeah, they don't. They don't get run.
These babies, do you know?
They run everywhere from. These are mostly about a week old.
Yeah, they're very new.
Yeah, I know the two of them were born last weekend.
Aww.
You guys ready? We can pull up and take a closer look at the babies. Yeah, that's something. You guys ready? Okay, everybody can sit back down. I can move up a little bit. We're trying a new thing with the bison between the fence line. We've turned a herd out there hoping that if they graze the grass down, it won't be so enticing to the whitetail. Yeah.
Oh, look how little they are.
There they go. Yeah, these guys are only about a week old. This one's real young. Look at him. Yeah. There we go.
Oh,
Baby bison.
little face. Little baby
The
face on him.
bison were found in all lower 48 states, so they are very adaptable animals. They get a very heavy coat in the winter, and you can see how they shed down almost to bare
Sorry,
skin.
Dad.
The last wild bison seen in Ohio was in 1918.
The way they're shedding, that's not called molting.
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, they mold off their winter coat.
So cute.
Yeah, there's another one down here. Yeah. Hey, you guys ready? Okay.
Hello, big boy.
Now you can see the tag in his ear. Most of our animals we ear tag for identification. If it's in the right ear, it's a male. If it's in the left ear, it's a female, which does not mean that men are always right. And then they're color coded on a 5-year color thing. So every 5 years it will revert back to the first color.
Why is that one male over there by himself?
He's grazing. There's a whole other herd over there. He's just sort of gone off by himself. But we're hoping that if we let them graze between the fence line, that'll help keep the whitetail out.
Such pretty property.
Now, let's see who's out today. It's a metal on them. They're actually just big folds in their skin. Hi, big guy. Isn't he handsome?
Wow. Oh my God.
I just love him. Yes.
Look at
sometimes he's posing for us. Come on, Himmel, move your butt over. There you go.
First time we were with you, we had the same problem.
Yeah, they get in the middle of the road and they're like, I'm sorry, I'm eating, we're busy. There he is.
Come on over, Val, if you want.
I'm
Our big male rhino.
look at him.
Cross in front of me.
I'm good.
Now these rhino can go
Wow.
up to about 6,000 pounds in captivity. We didn't know that until fairly recently. Yes, Himmel, we know. But we're finding in captivity they're getting much bigger than they that they got in the wild. Here, if you guys want to sit, I'll move up with them. And he was a daddy. You guys ready? I can move up if you want to sit down for a sec. Don't want to lose you over there. I'm not allowed to stop. See, oh, come on, stay on your side of the road. I weigh almost as much as you, honest. I could hurt you. There he is. Now you see how he's got that,
Sorry,
how his
Greg.
lip kind of
I'm
acts
proud
like
again.
oh, for heaven's sakes.
Oh, look at
You're not cooperating, Himmel. silly rhino. Okay, we're gonna have to move up again.
Goodness.
I feel like he's playing tag with us. Anyway, that lip of his is what's called a prehensile lip. He can pick up fruit, he can strip leaves off trees and things. He also can swim. Now, the other rhinos we see can't because their head's much bigger. But because his head is fairly small, he can keep it up above the water there. Let's give him a chance to keep walking. He can keep it up above the water, so he's able to swim.
Yeah. You want a shot?
Do watch him because he's got incisors, so his teeth are kind of sharp, and he has been known to stick his lip up there. So there he comes. Anyone gonna see if we can find the baby? Yeah, there's one of our females over there. Guys ready?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
You can see where he's been laying in the mud all day. Rhinos have no sweat glands and they have no oil glands, so it is very important for them to use mud and to use water to keep cool. This is one of our little girls.
Down here.
Actually, we've only had this one for about 2 years. She came from Toronto, Canada. And she's a character. When we first took her out, she'd never been out in the weather before, out in the field. And she did attack the bus the first time she saw it. She'd never seen one before. And she kind of liked this being out here in the field and wasn't real sure if we were going to take her back. So she did charge the bus. Went around, picked it up with her horn, and dropped it 3 times.
Wow.
But she's really learned to like it here. Isn't she beautiful? But don't they look like Triceratops? And they probably haven't changed dramatically from
Jeez. Unbelievable.
their prehistoric ancestors. She's probably about, I think she was 4 when we got her, so she's about 6 or 7. 35, 40 years old. Yeah.
Approximate weight.
She's probably running about 3,400. She should max out probably about 38, 4,000 pounds. Again, we thought males maxed out about 4,800, but we're finding them getting as big as 6,000.
Wow.
You got a little easier life here, maybe?
Yeah, and much more readily available food. In India, these guys are actually shot as garden pests. They will get in people's flower gardens because they will eat flowers and fruits and things, and they shoot them like we would a rabbit. Yeah, which is really, kind of sad.
Kind of hard to bury. They're endangered though, right?
They are, but
In India, they don't care.
yeah, and a lot of places they just don't, there's laws, but they're not really enforced most places. We can keep them from importing the horn, for instance, but in an underdeveloped country, they're really not going to, a lot of places really, they've got bigger fish to fry, frankly. And that's one of the biggest problems with endangered laws. You know, who's out there to enforce them in a lot of places? Not that I'm aware of. I'm sorry?
Has she ever had any out?
She has not, no. She's a little young yet. Pardon me? Yeah, we actually we didn't put her out until last year with Himmel because he was just too big. She was still kind of small. And he's a pretty big boy, and we were afraid he'd hurt her. There's no kids on the bus, right? Okay.
Yeah.
The first time he bred her down at the barn, their mating is somewhat violent. And he came up behind her and she was standing downhill and literally pushed her over teacups and she went rolling down the hill. And there was rhino everywhere. We thought, oh my God, he's killed her. And she got up and she kind of shook it off, and you know, they're still friends, so that's good news. But we had to be kind of cautious when they're smaller, because he is a pretty big rhino. And they bite and they chase, and their mating is somewhat violent in that respect. Now, if you're from this area, you're probably familiar with this lovely little weed. It's called autumn olive. It was planted to hold back erosion, which it does, but it's also extremely invasive, and there's nothing that really kills it.
Oh,
yeah, now
look.
these are our Persian onagers. I'm going to go ahead and cross here. We're going to make a loop around here too, but they should still be here.
Baby.
These are wild donkeys. Now, one time they came from Manchuria all the way down to the northern part of India and all the way up into the Ukraine. More recently, they're only found in and around Iran. What you see here, and we have a couple more mares, and I think we've got
One
two,
full.
maybe three other males. These are the largest breeding herd in captivity. We think there may only be 400 of them left, period. Yeah. We have two babies. You can see the one there, and he's only a couple months old. Yeah, they are very aggressive, and these are guys that we have to be very cautious because they've been known to strike at the bus now, especially with the babies. We actually took the male out because he's never been around a baby before, and we just weren't real sure how he was going to act around it. So for everybody's safety, we've taken him out. We didn't know whether or not he'd hurt the baby. Oh, how? Actually, you see that box up there? We put treats in it. We get him to walk in, we close the door, we can back the trailer up on the other side and load him into a horse trailer. And it's one of the things that we do here is we try to work with different ways of moving animals, because whenever you have to anesthetize them to move them, it's stressful on them. Particularly on the females, you know, we want them to breed, and sometimes that can throw off their breeding cycles. So whenever we don't have to do that, it's better for everybody. But these guys were hunted for their leather. They make a real high quality leather called shagreen out of them. Their biggest problem is that they run for protection, and they're very fast. They're the fastest of the equides, and they will beat a horse over a long run. The problem is there's no place for them to run to anymore. So an area like this is about their only chance of survival as a species. Okay, you guys ready to see if we can find the baby? I don't know if she's out here today or not. I hope she is. I know. I'll be disappointed if we don't see her. I haven't seen her yet today. They've been out well, we saw her down in the mud. Mama's been teaching her how to wallow in the mud. Of course, this is, we like to show this to everybody. This is what we call endangered feces. Yes, that's the rhino dung heap.
There you go.
Sure enough.
But you know, for a rhino, this is very important.
Rahima, did you see that? We had that last night for supper.
Oh, yeah.
They were really good. We really did.
Not very
Well, for a
nutritious.
rhino, though, that dung pile is very important. The dominant female in the herd will pick a spot, and everybody goes on that same spot. We think it does one of two things. male rhinos are very territorial. So this is telling a new male rhino that there is an established herd. Unless he wants to fight, he needs to keep moving. We're also fairly certain that it tells the male rhino of that herd which one of the females are an estrus for the scent. And of course, it's also
the camels up on the hill.
Grows wonderful mushrooms. Ah, yeah. Now that's another pair David deer. This is one of our extra males. And you notice he's worn a path all the way along this fence line because he knows there's females in the other. But you see how he's all covered with mud and he has all that stuff hanging from his antlers? The girls really like that. They do. Oh yes. That's what they do to attract the females. So he's got himself, it's Saturday night. He's got himself all fixed up and he'll just keep parading back and forth trying to entice one of the girls over this way.
Huh.
Now the Chinese call these guys a foreign Likestone. You can see they are very different from deer. Their antlers go back like a stag. They have that long tail. It's more like a donkey's tail. A little short neck that the Chinese said they had a neck like a camel. And they have very distinct hooves. We'll probably see some of them down in the water. Their hooves actually have a membrane between them that act like a flipper, and the females are terrific swimmers. And there's another onager up here. You guys ready? See what's up the road here? And this is another one of our onagers. There we go.
Yep.
This is the one that's looking very new. Look how big she is. She's been sort of pacing around by herself today, so she may be getting ready to go into labor.
This would be a good time, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Come on.
If she
She's
didn't
pretty.
stay and watch.
Well, I tell you, the last one was in labor almost 2 weeks. So yeah. Now the baby rhino, the sac started showing at 2:45, and she was born by 3 o'clock.
Wow.
So, there's just no rhyme or reason to it. Yeah, she dropped really, actually all our rhinos were very easy and very fast birds. Hey, you guys ready?
Was it the rhinos they said that they the second generation in captivity?
Yeah. Ours are the third, and they're not reproducing well at all. There's a couple of theories. One of them, because of the way we have to house them in the winter, and we'll see when we go down to the barn, we think that maybe they're starting to see each other as part of a family unit and not as a potential breeding partner. Because we have to house them a lot closer than they would have been in the wild. Oh, yeah, up on the hill.
What is it?
The baby came out, but she's up on the hill. I'll tell you what, you guys want to take the long way around?
Yeah.
Sure.
They're going to say, what? Where is she going?
I think they know.
Yeah, probably. That's a one-way road. What is wrong with that woman? There we go. We'll just buzz up here real quick. We're really not supposed to call them cute, but I gotta tell you, she's the cutest darn thing I've ever seen. When they're first born, their ears and between the little folds of their skin and their little lips are real pink. Now they get dark when they get exposed to the elements. But I was telling them at dinner, we had a day, first part of October when it rained, it snowed. We had about this much snow on the ground. And where'd she go? Not up here with you guys.
I saw the baby up
Yeah, I think she's down on the other ridge.
Wow.
But
That was a quick look.
again, the mother dropped fairly quickly. Well, we couldn't get to her to get the baby, to get her in the barn and get her warmed up. Well, I work for Harry and David part-time, and I happen to have a car full of Harry and David pears. That's what we enticed Mama away from the baby with. It's been a great ad for Harry and David. Where'd you go, Mama? Yeah. Well, I tell you, they do move pretty quickly. I mean, a rhino can go about 35 miles an hour, so they do move pretty quick. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Mama's been letting her go off by herself, which really surprises me. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go around so we can see them. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna flip around so we can see those other deer. Yeah, I don't know where they went. It's hard to believe you can lose a rhino, isn't it? Yeah, they may have. Yeah.
You're running out of gas. You're the one that's walking.
I know. You'll walk. We have over half a tank.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Mama again.
There we go. Now you see how they're branded?
Yeah.
Most of our animals we ear tag, but these guys and the horses are both so aggressive that we actually found that it's less stressful on them to go ahead and brand them. They tend to rip. I thought I heard somebody say, whoa. They tend to rip the ear tags out of each other. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Now, the deer that are over here are our Indo-Chinese Sika deer. These little deer are from Vietnam, and these are fully grown male deer. Aren't they?
Aww.
Oh, right. Now, see how their antlers are kind of fuzzy? That's called being in velvet. Antlers are not a permanent growing part of the animal the same way a horn is. So what happens is they form these little teeny tiny blood vessels, and that's what that velvet is. And that's what brings the minerals and the nutrients up and deposits it and forms the antlers. Now, when it's done forming, then that pus will drop, the blood vessels will die off, and it creates kind of like a big scab, so it's itchy, and that's when you'll see them rubbing their antlers against trees and rocks and things to get that off. Animals that have antlers, only males have antlers with one exception, and that's reindeer. Female reindeer will have antlers. With horns, both males and females have horns, and it's a permanent part of the animal. If it breaks off, it won't grow back. And we'll see some when we go down the barn and get a better idea of how that grows. But again, these guys are from Vietnam, which is why they tend to like laying down here in the marsh. It's real swampy there, and this would be the kind of terrain that they wouldn't have in Vietnam. Yeah, exactly. They've never been there, but yet they seek out that kind of area. It's kind of neat.
Do you know what antlers are up there at the lodge or the maple?
I believe those are probably Bactrian deer, the great big ones. They look like elk.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are probably the Bactrian deer.
Bactrian deer.
What's the matter? What, did you lose something?
Again, here are.
Oh, the baby's down now.
Yeah, he just sort of flops himself down when he's tired. They're cute. First time he did that, I kind of panicked. They don't.
Yeah.
I mean, they just barely breathe. The little horse will do that too. He just gets tired and flops.
Oh. He's getting up.
Somebody stepped on him.
Oh, he's up.
Get up.
Somebody stepped on him.
How old would
That
you guess
could
him?
hurt.
How old would you guess him to be?
The baby?
Yeah.
He's about 5 weeks old.
Huh.
Is he?
Yeah.
So cute.
Not often, no. Usually they'd have single births. Okay, now up in front of us are Przewalski wild horses.
Cool.
And we had 2 babies this year.
Cool.
These are the first babies we've had since the late 90s. We were getting real concerned about them. Not only were ours not reproducing, but most other places that had Przewalskis were having the same problem. We did an endocrine study. We tested their urine for their hormones. We sonogrammed the females to make sure that there weren't polyps or tumors or something. One of the things that we did find out was one of our males had a blockage. Here he wasn't viable. So we were able to get the blockage fixed, and we did ultimately end up with 2 babies.
Huh.
Now these are, again, the only truly wild horse left in the world. We talk about the wild ponies of Azteca Chincoteague and about the wild Mustangs, but they're actually feral animals. They're a horse that has been domesticated, but was returned to a wild environment, either abandoned or escaped. These guys are genetically different from every other horse. These horses have 66 chromosomes, and every other horse has 64. Now they are from Mongolia. One of the first things you notice is that they're all the same color, and that's one of the ways we can tell they're truly Przewalskis. All Przewalskis will be this color. There's one in here that has a little white spot on her shoulder, though, and that's actually a birthmark. That's something that she will not pass on to her young. Now again, we have the 2 babies. We have a little filly and a little foal. These, again, are very aggressive little guys. Now that short mane is natural to them. We don't trim it, and what happens is their manes continually shed. They have that real flat back, so they're not very comfortable to ride, and that dip that's in a domestic horse is something that we bred into them to make them easier to ride. At one time in the 60s, these guys had dropped down to only 16 in the world. So again, we have to be very, very cautious. And there's quite literally a ton of paperwork that needs to be done when we introduce a new male. We have some sort of spare males. We keep them in what's called a bachelor herd. And from time to time, we'll switch out the males. But we need to get that certified, make sure that all the females are not too closely related. This one up here is the one with the little white spot on her shoulder. Yeah, the one that's crossing in front here. One of the things that you may notice, none of our buses have chrome or rubber or any fancies on it because of these guys. They'll rip them off. Yeah, there she is. Yeah. They tell a story, and I think it's true, but it's a great story. There was a motor coach in here that had a chrome bumper, and it was shiny, and it got them all excited, so they grabbed a hold of it and pulled it off the bus. So they really can be pretty aggressive little guys. And there's our giraffes, 3 of them, and we're expecting, she's down in the barn. It's a 460-day gestation, so it's a long wait. And Mama will give birth standing up, but I'm guessing after that long, get it over with, I don't care, I'll stand on my head if I have to. Generally it's pretty quick. It took her about an hour or so the last time. This is the same mom of our other baby, yeah. Our male passed away in March. So she probably conceived maybe January or February. It's kind of hard to tell sometimes with them. Now,
Get another male?
No, we haven't found. We're working on now the 2 that are here that their spots look like maple leaves. Those are what are called Maasai. We generally accept that there are 7 subspecies of giraffe. Now, if you read much about giraffes, you're going to hear a lot of difference of opinion about that. Some experts believe that they're really just regional color variations. They're not really subspecies. One of the things, though, when they were first bred in captivity, there was not much effort made to keep those colors or those subspecies separate. So most of them are hybrids. The one over here that's all white is an example of what's called a reticulated giraffe. We have a Rothschild out there someplace, but I've not seen her. The Rothschild has a darker netting. And then, of course, these two are the Maasai. The Maasai do seem to be the exception. There are quite a few Maasai that still are pure, and quite a few of them live in Susan, Ohio. So we're in the process of creating a breeding herd of Maasai, and when we get a male, then we're going to separate those out and have them as a separate breeding herd. Giraffes do most everything standing up. It's one of the ways that they've developed so that they are not vulnerable to predators. Again, they give birth standing up, they eat standing up, they sleep standing up, and they get by on very little sleep. They sleep maybe 4 or 5 hours during a 24-hour period, and most of that is done in little 3 and 4 minute cat naps that they do standing up. Now, they will lay down, but normally it's only for about 20 minutes or so because they have a very large heart. Their heart's about 26 pounds. Because they need a lot of pressure to get up to that brain. But when they lay down, it makes their blood pressure fluctuate and it's not comfortable for them. You see the little tuft of hair on the ends of their tails? That's what they were hunted for. They would kill the giraffe to cut that off, to sell as fly swatters and to weave into jewelry for the export market. Yeah. There are times when it's just embarrassing being human, frankly. Yeah, and that's one of them. Yeah. Now, more recently, they have problems because where they're from, it's being divided by roads and fences and things. And they like to go back to where they were calved to have their calves. Sometimes if they can't get over a fence or cross a road, they'll have a miscarriage right there. They get so stressed out. So that's been another real problem for them. Now, giraffes have as many bones in their necks as you and I. They only have 7. They're very big bones, but there are only 7 neck bones in a giraffe.
What happened to the male that you had? Did they just get old?
Yeah, he was the oldest male in captivity. He was 29. And what happens, and it seems to be a problem with captive giraffe in general, but certainly with the older ones, look at them looking, they get arthritis. And they lay down and they can't get back up, and then they have strokes and they die. And that's what happened to him. He just couldn't get back up. And with an animal that tall, you can't really get under him with a sling or anything to get him up. As he was 17 foot tall. So you know, there wasn't, once the end came, there wasn't a whole lot we could do about him.
What about their little horns on their head?
Those are called osteocones, and they're cartilage. Now, as they mature, they start to harden up and calcify a little bit, but they're not really a functional horn. We think maybe males will use them to fight for dominance. That seems to be their only real purpose, though. Now, males also will have these kind of bumps, these calcifications on their skull, and when they fight for dominance, they'll take their heads and swing them into each other, and that probably helps protect their skull. I will tell you, though, there is very few animals quite as stinky as a male giraffe. They smell horrendous. They have oil glands, and they're sex scent glands. When they're in rut, they secrete this stuff that you don't even have to touch. Just the odor clings to your clothing. Now here's 2 of our trumpeter swans. These were part of an introduction program. We got the eggs from Alaska. They were brought down to the Cleveland Metro Park Zoos where they were hatched, and then they were brought here for reintroduction. So if you ever see a swan with that green band, they're part of our program, and they are free to migrate in and out if they choose. Now these guys have a wingspan of about 7 feet.
Wow.
Kind of scrooch up, yeah. Now, they're monogamous. They'll pair and they will mate for life.
Now, the different, somebody told us a different story on the different color neckbands they have.
Generally, they're colored by what program they were part of.
So are
Somebody
these
said
guys
it was
married?
the year they were born.
Ours, well, the ear tags, they are.
There were yellow ones and green ones.
That wasn't my understanding. My understanding that they were part of the program and then they're number coded. I could be wrong, but that was always my understanding. Now these guys, and let's see if we can see the baby. I don't know that she's ever brought it out yet.
Oh.
We had a baby last weekend, and I'm not sure the mom is out yet. These are Bantang. They are wild oxen, and they're from Burma. They look like sophisticated Jersey cows, though, don't they? Now, Bantang has something called sexual dimorphism, which is a big word that just means if they're this color, they're girls. If they're a different color, they're boys. Boys are always a different color from girls, and the boys are almost completely black. And we should see one of the males up in another field. In Burma, Bantang are endangered because they will crossbreed with domestic cattle. And of course that makes this nice big beefy cattle, which the cattlemen love, but after a while there's no more Bantang. And in Burma, they've actually learned to be nocturnal. They'll hide in the daytime to protect themselves from the humans. Now, these Bantang are part of an artificial insemination program. We inseminated 3 of them. They took, only 1 came to term. And again, that one was born last weekend. But the genetic material that we used was from a bull who died 15 years ago. He had such great genetics that we're still using him for some of the insemination programs.
Is the baby back in there?
Probably. Oh, wait. I see a tail.
Yeah.
They're not very big. Generally, the mamas keep them back in the thickets for a week or 2. Thought she might bring her down since it was quieter, but driving over now started out as what they call a haul road. There was a little creek bed here, so they had to fill it in to bring the heavy equipment, and it eventually formed a dam that backed up into that big lake. On the other side is our wetland area. Now in nature, wetlands work like big sponges. So it's part of the reason why our lakes are so nice and clear. If you're familiar with surface mine lakes, they tend to be very acidy. Now the other thing that helps ours is that we have a very high concentration of limestone here. So it makes for a balanced pH.
What kind of soil did they use to reclaim this area?
Well, what they did was they just moved back what they had stripped. And that's part of the problem. When they do that, of course, the shale gets tossed in with the topsoil, that gets tossed in with the rubble, and it makes for some pretty weak soil. And that's part of what we've been trying to work on, is getting it to where we can really grow things on it. So what they do is they would just move it over to these big mountains of dirt.
Are you open year round?
I'm sorry?
Are you open year round?
Not for visiting. We're open the 1st of May on weekends, and then we're open Wednesday through Sunday, June, July, and August, and then weekends through the end of October.
A summer thing.
I'm sorry?
Summer.
Summer, yeah. They have some special programs from time to time in the winter. They did a thing with the birds, some of the migrating winter birds. They did a thing with the bison. But those are usually just one day. Yeah. These are our fringe-eared oryx. I just love their little faces. They are a kind of an
The camel's
antelope.
under the...
Yeah. And when we come back from Hoofstock, they'll come around with the treats, and they will probably come back out from there when they hear the pickup truck. They know the sound of that pickup truck. It has treats. But these guys, are not endangered, but what we are doing with them is we're studying the herding habits of antelope with them. Fringe-eared are kind of neat. You can see the little fringes of hair on their ears, and it kind of works as fans, helps keep them cool. The fringe-eared is essential to the native peoples in Africa, as the bison were to our native peoples. They literally use them for everything, and the points of their horns are razor sharp. They actually use those for spear points. Now,
There's more of them up there
across
underneath
against the fence line are a couple of deer that
It says
we
50.
don't see a whole lot of this
That's what it
time
claims.
of year. The lighter ones are what are called Elks deer. Sometimes they're referred to as brown
Oh no,
antler deer.
140.
The
Well,
darker ones
the
with the
left
kind of
horse is
heart shape on their
142.
rumps,
I don't know what that means. If that means it
those
thinks it
are
has
the
it.
Bactrian
That's
deer
It has it?
female.
Okay.
And the Bactrian deer are the ones with the great big huge
And then on the
antlers that we
right-hand
have
side
down
is
at the
51
lodge. We'll
minutes.
see some of those
That-
when we get down to
that tape?
Stock.
Yeah, it's
So it means I'll be running out of tape
But
pretty
the
soon.
elk steers
Yeah, about 10 minutes
particularly
Okay.
tend to be a little skittish. When the males in rut, they'll be up a little bit. But once he goes out of rut, they
Can't
tend to
decide when
stay
to
back
stop
against the
talking
fence
long
line.
enough
You
for
don't
that
see
thing
them
to
very
shut the
often.
camera off, Greg. You know.
Now, this is the male bantang. So you can see the difference in the color. Now that big white diamond and the 4 white socks are part of the bantang marking, but you can see the differential in the color. All those other little deer are the female Sika deers. And again, those are fully grown
Look
adult
at him.
female deer. Now the other thing that's different with the male bantang, whoa. Yeah. See how his horns are different, as he uses those to assert his dominance and to fight with. And he has that big bone across the front of his forehead. That's called a boss. And he will use that to bam his head against the another male, again, to fight for dominance primarily.
Now, does everybody know who the dominant one is?
Us? Or
No, them.
them?
Female.
Oh, the female does, yeah. With some of them, for instance, with the Przewalski horses, they have a harem herd kind of socialization. So actually there's a female that's in charge of the social aspect of the herd. We have some general idea who the dominant female is, but mostly it's just her observation. It's not, you know, where she's always in the lead or that sort of thing. Now, let's see, I think, did they go to Rhino first, or did they go to Hookstock first? Yeah, after we took our little side trip, and we still didn't see them.
When we get parked down here. You know? I don't know how it's going to fit. I figure you do.
Now, these are our southern white rhino. And actually, see this one that's coming right at us? See how her horn goes out, that big sharp point? She grooms her horn to do that. That's the way she likes it. We know that it's a learned characteristic because her mother groomed her horn the same exact way. I think it would get in a road, but that's what she likes.
Goes to the beauty shop every Thursday.
Really? Okay. Yeah, we're gonna go down to, we will go down to Rhino first. And if he's in a good mood, we'll get to go meet Bubba. Bubba is one of our 2 male southern white rhinos. Now what we do is we'll trade them out halfway through the summer. We have 1 male out now, and yet we can't have them out together because they'll fight. So we will bring him back into the barn and take Bubba back out. Yeah, you can tell when you get into rhino country, the fence line changes.
Posts.
But what we do when we herd them, we'll just put big pipes in the roadway here and herd them right into the field. Rhinos will follow a herd, or I'm sorry, a bale of alfalfa just about any place. They dearly love the alfalfa. Now the big guy laying in the mud there, that's a Somme, and he's an older rhino. He was going to be destroyed. Now normally we don't take animals because they're sick or they need homes, but we made an exception with him. Rhinos, as they age, Asian rhinos that is, as they age, have a condition where they kind of walk on tiptoe. And there's a big pad of fat behind their foot. Now because they have to spend so much of their lives on hard surfaces, that fat pad disintegrates. When they, of course, are in the wild, they're in mud most of the time, but in captivity, they spend too much time on a hard surface. So as that starts to deteriorate, their foot splits, and it's very painful, and it's very hard for them to walk. There's a vet that had been at Ohio State University who is one of the preeminent hoof specialists ever. I mean, he's really terrific. So we took a Somme so that Dr. Hall could come work on his feet. Maybe we could learn different ways to trim him up, different things to do that can help some of these other rhinos. One of the things that we have been working with is a new kind of pad to put on their stall. The two big things that we had to get past were, obviously, rhinos make a whole lot of urine. So it had to be something that wouldn't soak up the urine, but it also had to be something that they couldn't just pick up and play with. So we did find a surface that seems to be working very well.